Hello and a warm welcome to all our distinguished delegates from the industry. I'm Ashni Iyer, your host for the day, and on behalf of the Legasis family, I would like to welcome you all to the 8th edition of the Compliance 1010 Awards and Symposium. We find ourselves in unprecedented times, and while we still continue to navigate the ongoing pandemic, the safety and well-being of everyone is of paramount importance to us. So let's launch the event digitally today, and we are delighted to engage you in various panel discussion, talks by our eminent speakers and industry stalwarts throughout this very warm Sunday. I am honored to introduce to you Mr. Ashishkumar Chauhan. He is the Managing Director and CEO of BSE. He was one of the founders of NSE, the National Stock Exchange. He has acted as the CEO of the IPL cricket team Mumbai Indians in its formative years and has also been the president and CIO of the Reliance Group. He is considered the father of modern financial derivatives in India and is the creator of the Nifty Index. He is also a serial entrepreneur and has spoken in renowned international conferences organized by UN, OECD, Commonwealth, just to name a few. He has won several prestigious Indian and international awards consisting of the Mumbai Ratna, Digital Icon of the Year, Asian Banker, Top 50 CIOs in the world, etc., and serves on the board of several prestigious universities. He has co-authored a book titled A Temple of Wealth Creation on BSE and a book titled Sthit Pragya, The Process of Maintaining Equilibrium, has been written on his life's journey. Without much further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ashish Chauhan.
It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this event of Compliance 1010 for the year 2021. As all of us know, last 1.5 years have been amongst the worst years for mankind for over a century now. It has tested many of us, or rather most of us. It has touched everyone across the globe, across the industry, across countries. We have also seen some unbelievable changes which were not looking possible even in our neighboring countries. And we see how life has suddenly changed, and the trends which were not so visible have suddenly started becoming visible and actually gained strength. India has done exceedingly well compared to expectations over last 18-20 months since the COVID started raising its head in early 2020. There were experts of Indian origin, whom in India we give a lot of importance, came on all television sets and told us that we being so poor and so unhygienic and staying in such small apartments with poor conditions that almost 300 million people would be infected by July 2020 and almost 100 million people would be dead by their models. Fortunately, nothing of that sort happened. In the meantime, India also provided medicines to the world. India provided even vaccines to the world. And despite its per capita GDP being almost $2,000 per person vis-a-vis America, $66,000 per person, literally 3% of their GDP. And we are still competing with them on even the vaccination. And vaccinating almost 1.4 billion people is not an easy task for a poor country like ours. And somehow now everyone compares India with UK, US and Japan and no less, which is I think very heartening. Either we are not as poor as we think, or they are not as rich as we think, right? Whichever way, I think India has done well. We have provided free food to everyone. We have done some unbelievable stuff and we have proved many Pandits wrong, but we also proved ourselves wrong. So having said that, I think the compliance has taken even more center stage than we thought it would take. over last 18 months because somewhere on the line, everything is becoming automated. Zoom and WebEx have taken over personal meetings, but the compliances have not actually reduced, they have increased. There were some relaxations given by SEBI, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, GST, CBDT, everywhere, but still everyone decided to be compliant. The GST collections are increasing, the income tax collections are increasing, and I think in some ways India has adjusted itself really well with all its heft and might. I think India is doing really well in the new paradigm, which nobody thought, nobody predicted it will go this direction. And somewhere on the line, I think compliance has gone away from being a choice to being compulsion. Why it has become a compulsion have many reasons, but I think one of them is automation. Earlier, you had ability to non-comply, hope that the files will not be caught because they're physical files. Sometimes the files used to be lost, or sometimes the files used to get burnt, and copies were not available. But today, with automated filing, I think broadly speaking, the traces of non-compliance will remain. And that for me tells you, all of us, that whether you are non-compliant in any area, whether it is tax part of it or Companies Act or any other areas, including even traffic signals, there are going to be records, and those records may come and haunt you some place in future. You might as well be compliant, and that's where I think the technology's role is going to be even more important. The regulatory technology, as it is now known as RegTech, is becoming extremely important. I've been told by Mr. Tuljapurkar and Mr. Kulkarni that there are more than 20 lakh line items. If you want to fully comply with all Indian laws and all Indian regulations, state, center, all regulators, municipalities and everything, every day some 10, 15, 20 of those regulations are changing. So it's a very dynamic world, India being also highly bureaucratic, highly regulatory, highly regulated, highly compliance oriented sort of economy and society. We will have to take this in our stride, and I'm glad that new compliance technologies are emerging, new compliance professionals are emerging. I think company secretaries have done a wonderful job across the country, but even otherwise the CFOs have done a wonderful job, and of course the CEOs are always running on the edge, complying with the wishes of the board and also complying with all the rules, regulations. It's not an easy task, and that's where I think I would like to thank all the CEOs, CFOs, company secretaries, all the compliance officials of this country for continuing to comply, making compliance a very important field for them, and a non-optional field, but now it's becoming more compulsory, and all of us will have to take it in our stride. Going forward, I think the role of automation in compliance is going to be even going up manifold, and whether it is in banking, whether it is in finance, whether it is in manufacturing, or just the fire safety or building or construction, anything you take, it's going to be real-time compliance. A lot of videos will come into play. Even the courts have started doing things on video calls, which they were in some ways averse to, even for recording, has now completely become online. And some people humorously, some lawyers are trying to attend courts while driving scooters also, and those stories are coming out. So effectively, I think overall India has changed for the better under duress during COVID, but it has become extremely high tech in compliance areas, and I wish this conference all the best, that they are a harbinger of time to come. Several years back, this conference started, and it has continued without fail, whether COVID or non-COVID or any other markets going up or down. They've continued spreading good knowledge about how to comply, what to comply with, what is changing, and so on and so forth. And I think the discussions, deliberations here are going to be extremely valuable, not only to the compliance fraternity, or compliance professionals, but people like us who are on the other side of the regulatory spectrum. That is, we request all of you to comply, we want all of you to comply, and we have also automated in our own way. We have listing center at BSE where you can load your information, periodic or procedural or even material events on real-time basis, which is available to the entire markets. And we also keep on asking you more questions based on what you report or what you don't report, but gets reported in social media or in newspapers, not only India but elsewhere in the world also. And we ask you more questions is basically on the same philosophy that somewhere on the line, if you want participatory democracy, we want participatory capitalism, then all of us will have to learn to be more responsible, more compliance. And with that, I thank the organizers for calling me once again, and I wish this conference all the very best and all the compliance professionals a very good year ahead. Thank you.